Hello. Welcome back. We just completed working on the while loop, and another loop we want to cover is the for loop. So, what do we mean by for loop? I hope you have understood everything on the while loop. Now, let's get started on the for loop. So, basically, for loop, it is a control structure. Control structure that lets you iterate over a sequence. So you have a sequence. So you have a list, string, tuple, dictionary, or even range of products. So basically, when you want to iterate, we've talked over iteration over and over, so I bet for now we understand. So it's a control structure that lets you iterate over a sequence. So you can have a list, you can have strings, you can have a tuple, you can have a tuple, strings, you can have a tuple, you have a dictionary, you can have range of numbers. So basically, you'd use a for loop when you want to iterate over a sequence, right? So it is a majorly, right? Useful. So it's normally it's useful when you know number of times to iterate, right? I hope that makes sense. That for loops normally comes through when you know the number of times you want to iterate. So basically, it loops over each statement. Statement, each element in a container. So a container could be a list, dictionary, range, so whichever. So it loops over each element in a container, one at a time, right? Doing what? Assigning a variable. Basically, this is what a loop does. So it goes. Let's say you have a list, right? So it loops over each item in that list, right? One at a time, A, B, C, D. Each time it assigns a variable with the next element that can be used in the loop body. I hope that makes sense. In our definition of a loop, basically. So, what do we mean by this container? Okay. So, the container which we mean is a list, tuple, or a string, right? List, tuple, or a string. I hope that makes sense. Each iteration, each time you go around, each time you do a repetition, each iteration, yeah, does it do? Since you have let's say you are in a list and you have a list of items, right? So it assigns the name in the loop segment. I hope that makes sense. You'll see in our explanation. So I hope that makes sense. Now, what's the syntax, right? So syntax for this is for, it's a for loop variable, right? In container, not list and the likes, full colon. Then you have so here we have the loop body, indentation, have a loop body here, right? We have the for each here, for each item in the container. Basically, that will be the loop body, right? Then segment of the loop. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So this is the syntax we're going to follow when writing loops. I'm going to give an example. I'm going to give one here, then we'll go to writing examples and running them. So for, right, name in. Now let's have a container here. So container will be, I want to use a list here, right? I'll have the name Bill. Sorry, Bill. We're going to have random names. Amy. Josh. Lastly, let's have N. Yeah. So for name, in name, right? So you can say print remember we talked over formatting strings. So we do one F format is we format the string. Let's say hi curly brace and you say name, right? So what this will do is let's go back to our statement. Let's go back to our explanation. So it will print a hi name for Bill, for Amy, for Josh, and for Diana. To showcase this, we can do an example for 4. So I'll say 4 1 then yeah. So when we do getting yes, we should have a colon here. Let me just write the same in our readme so that full colon here. It's a small thing. Okay, so let's do Python 4. It will do hi Bill. It will do for each of the name. So for this, what happens in this? So let's just try and for this loop I'm trying to just explain what happens. Yeah, what has happened or what happens actually. So for this loop we have a list of names, right? The list of names is Bill, Amy, Josh, and Diane, right? First iteration, iteration. First iteration. The first iteration, it assigns the variable name with the name bill with the variable. I hope we've seen that since I have just executed that. So we have high, fast iteration goes to bill, right? Yeah. So first name, the name bill with the first iteration. Second iteration, it assigns Amy. Third iteration, it assigns Josh. Fourth iteration assigns Diana, right? So for sequences, let's say you have sequences like list and tuples, right? For lists and tuples, let me just use for here, right? For lists and tuples, it follows, as you've seen, follows the order, follows the position, basically the order. You've seen that, right? Like it has just gone Bill, Amy, Josh, Dan, just in this order. So for lists and tuples, it does that. It follows position of the elements, right, in the container. Basically. Oh, that's clear. Until the last one, so it follows the order. So when we iterate over a dictionary, right, the dictionary, since a dictionary cannot be indexed, I hope we remember that when we talk about dictionaries cannot be indexed. So in a dictionary, what does it do when you use a for loop in a dictionary? The loop, yeah. What happens is in dictionary, it assigns the loop variable with. Oh, that's clear. Most of the time we use that. Most of the time when you're doing anything, when you're adding, when you're typing, and doing anything to a dictionary, you use the keys of the dictionary. So same case to using the for loop. When you're using a dictionary, we assign the loop variable with the keys. Make sense? I'll do an example. I'll do an example for a dictionary. Dictionary for loop. Yeah. So let's say we have players, right? So if we have players, what happens is we'll have a player and their number. So we'll have Messi and 10, right? Okay. I'll use. Okay, let me just search for. Let me use. I'm going to use Barcelona players and their numbers. So let me use Messi. Let me just a minute. I pick the players online. So now. So trying to. So I'll use. Sorry about that. Let me use. I'm trying to find this and I can't find it on that. So I'm going to use we have Ronald with number 4. So I'll use this. That's key. The key dictionary uses the key value. So player 4. Use Javi or Gavi with 6. I'll use Pedri with 8. Okay, this is just used for example purposes, right? Another one is Yamal with 10. So we have key value with the 10. Yeah. So we have the players dictionary having Barcelona roster with their numbers. So we'll have each assigned Ronald for Gabi. Okay? So each of them with their. So how do we access this using a for loop? As we have said in our description here, in a dictionary, we assign the loop variable with keys. So basically we're going to say for I'll say P for P in players. Okay. So our dictionary is called players. So I'll just say for P in players. I can use any for X, for Y in players, right? When you click enter, you indent. We're going to say print. We talked of formatting a string. Then it's say you can say P in a dictionary. So this is how we access P, right? So for each, so it will go through each and actually print P here. So with this, it's going to show us each of the players. So P. So I would say I'm going to use. Okay, let me just try and access players here. Basically, access players. Then we access a specific place. Let me just see what will print in there. Let's put this in a dictionary. So we'll say loop 2. So this is a dictionary how we access. So let's do Python. So what have we done here? Let's go back to our I can say it's a number. So okay, that's better. Yeah, because these are the their numbers, or their jazzy numbers, or J's or jazz. This number. So what have we done in this dictionary, right? So we have a dictionary here with players and their numbers, right? That's true. So we're using a for loop to access the dictionary, and we did say we use the keys, right? So this is the key value. These are the keys and these are the values. So we use the keys to access, right? So for we have said P in players, right? So we are accessing the P in players. We're using P to access the dictionary. Basically, this is our dictionary. This is our container. The container we kept saying For example, this is a list and this is a container. So here, this is our container. We've just stored our values here. We are accessing it through our container here. I hope that we understand that. So for P in plus, what do we print? So we're going to print. We are formatting the string, then we access. So basically with this we can give the keys here, right? So then we have now access the values. I hope that makes sense. I hope we have understood how we're able to access the values in a dictionary. How about so we've seen how to access values in dictionary. How about accessing values in a string? In a string, how do we iterate over a string? Basically, iterating over a string. So we'll do more of the simple examples so as to get us moving. So each iteration, right? Each in a string. Each iteration in a string assigns the loop to the next A string is made up of characters, so each iteration, right, assigns the loop variable with the next character. Yeah, because a string is made up of characters. I hope that makes sense. Just like lists. So just like lists, a string has sequence, right? So the behavior is identical in that it assigns from the left to the right. So I can say strings have sequence and assign from left to right. I hope that makes sense. Example: you can have a string called string. That will work. Then use a string to our string. So we'll have a string, an empty string. So we'll say for. We've said we access for each character. So we can say each. How this will work? How this is not a keyword in. Let's store a string here. Take me to them. This is our string, right? We want to use this. We're going to use a full column right there. So we want to say string str as we have done. Then we do plus equals to character, the keyword we used here. So for character in my string, so for string equals character. What do you want to do to it? We want to modify it with we want to add an underscore. Okay. So and then what we do is we print our string. I hope our string is not, I hope str is not taken, or is not I hope it won't be mapped as a keyword. If it is so, we'll have to use a different example, different keyword. So let's a different variable. So we'll say 3.p1. Right. So we're going to say Python. We were trying to add an underscore to each part of the string we have, and we did say strings. We add them from the left to the right. That's why it take me to the moon as an. Can use a different. Let's go sing. Yeah. So if that's our. So we want to add the underscore. We want to add a dot. Yeah. We want to add whichever. However you want to edit, or you want to add any value or any statement to the string, that's how you're able to access it using a for loop. So basically it's going to loop through each of the statement here, then it adds. Remember what we said, this is it adds, right? It's an addition, so it's character plus, right? I hope that makes sense. So that's how it iterates over a loop. Let's we're going to do examples of for loops, and I hope we've had a good understanding of introduction to loops, and I'd want to do a recording doing examples. But before then, let me do the last one here, and then so that it doesn't become too long, too boring. We'd rather have another recording just for examples though. So let's say you have fruits, right? Let's say you have fruits. Yeah, so you have fruits in a list. So you have apples, you have banana, and you have so you want to use a for loop. So you can say for. Okay, let me use an F. So for fruit in fruits, for F in fruits, this is the name of our container. So this is a container what has going to print. Alright. Then you pass the name of comma, then the name of the container. So it's going to assign each one by one. So it's going to assign apples, then the next one banana, then the next one. So each one by one. Let's do an example. This is loop 3. Let's do loop 4. So okay, let me see the error here. So we have the fruits being our container for F in fruits. So what is this supposed to be? It's supposed to be, because we are trying to access each one, to just apply the F we had. So here as well, I'm sorry, I thought I had used the fruit to access it. So when we run this, yeah, I hope that makes sense. We'll be able to access each one by one up to where we are. So that's it for now. I'll see you in the next recording when we're doing examples of for loop through a list, a dictionary, strings. Basically we've covered a little bit of each of that, but I'll do a separate recording whereby you're able to tackle each of them one by one. Thanks for your time. See you in the next one. In case you have any questions, leave in the comment section, and let's enjoy coding. See you.